You said that you wanted to use this interview to deliver a message to the American people. I've lived in America, and I know the concerns of the average American when it comes to Iran. And it's the message that has come out of Iran over the last 20 years. The message hostage-taking, the message of death to America, the message of burning the American flag, the message that almost looks like Islam has declared a war against America and the West. Let me ask you first about the hostage crisis, which is emblazoned in every American's mind. As you know, in all revolutions, the communist revolution in Russia, the French Revolution, perhaps even the American revolutions, the early years contain many excesses. Would you say that taking the American hostages at the beginning of the Iranian Islamic Revolution falls into the category of early revolutionary excesses?
Thank you for your question. I believe that first we have to analyze events within their proper context and with circumspection. The image of Islam which has been presented, and I don't want to accuse anyone here, has been an erroneous one. Islam is a religion which calls all humanity, irrespective of religion or belief, to rationality and logic. Islam invites followers of all divine religions to unite around God worship and all Muslims to fraternity. The Islam which we know and practice and upon which we founded our revolution recognizes the right of all human beings to determine their own destiny. It declares that relations among nations must be based on logic and mutual respect. Such Islam is an enemy to no nation, enemy to no religion. It seeks dialogue, understanding, and peace with all nations. One of the major flaws in the United States foreign policy, which I recently construed as being behind the times, is that they continue to live with Cold War mentality and try to create a perceived enemy. Here I don't wish to insult anyone. I know that there are quite a few wise and fair-minded personalities and statesmen in the United States. But the outcome of the interplay within the United States polity has shaped the U.S. policy in a manner that continues to be a prisoner of Cold War mentality. After the collapse of communism, there has been an attempt by certain circles to portray Islam as the new enemy. And regrettably, they are targeting progressive Islam rather than certain regressive interpretations of Islam. They attack an Islam which seeks democracy, progress, and development, an Islam which calls for utilization of achievements of human civilization, including that of the West. With regard to the hostage issue which you raised, I do know that the feelings of the great American people have been hurt, and of course I regret it. Yet, these same feelings were also hurt when bodies of young Americans were brought back from Vietnam. Yet, the American people never blamed the Vietnamese people, but rather blamed their own politicians for dragging their country and its youth into the Vietnam quagmire. The pressure by the American people terminated that senseless and inhuman war. In fact, the American people themselves brought that war to an end. The feelings of our people were seriously hurt by United States policies. And as you mentioned, in the heat of the revolutionary fervor, things happen which cannot be fully contained or judged according to usual norms. This was the crying out of a people against humiliations and inequalities imposed upon them by the policies of the United States and others, particularly in the early days of the revolution. With the grace of God, today our new society has been institutionalized, and we have a popularly elected, powerful government, and there is no need for unconventional methods of expression of concern and anxiety. And I believe when there is logic, especially when there are receptive ears, there is no need for anything but discourse, debate, and dialogue.
So are you saying that despite the grievances that you talk about, with hindsight, if you had to do all this again, would Iran have done it differently at that time?
هر چیزی رو عرض کردم در ظرف خودش باید.
As I said, everything must be analyzed within its own proper context. The events of those days must be viewed within the context of the revolutionary fervor and the pressures to which the Iranian nation was subjected to, causing it to seek a certain way to express its anxieties and concerns. Today, we are in the period of stability and fully adhere to all norms of conduct, regulating relations between nations and governments. With the grace of God, today, all the affairs of our country are being conducted within the framework of the law. And as I have stated, both in domestic and foreign affairs, we shall endeavor to strengthen the rule of law in every respect.
Mr. President, Americans, the average American, is familiar with one image from Iran: death to America, the burning of American flags, and as we talked about, the hostages. You talk about a new chapter in relations between the peoples of the world. What can you say to the American listening tonight to show that person that your Iran is a new Iran or a different Iran?
من میگم که مسائل رو باید با
I
همه
say
جوانب
that these
شریک
issues should be examined with due consideration to their root causes and various dimensions.
با همه اون کسانی
There are slogans being chanted in Iran, but you as a journalist can ask all those chanting the slogans whether they are targeting the American people. And they would all say no. Not only we do not harbor any ill wishes for the American people, but in fact we consider them to be a great nation. Our aim is not even to destroy or undermine the American government. These slogans symbolize a desire to terminate a mode of relations which existed between Iran and the United States. This is a response to that grave affront by a former United States Defense Secretary who said the Iranian nation must be rooted out. It is also a response to the downing of the Iranian airliner that killed about 300 innocent people, mostly women and children. Even if we accept that the shooting was accidental, the declaration of the commander of the American naval vessel responsible for the tragedy was indeed adding insult to injury. There is also the recent allocation of $20 million by the United States Congress for toppling the Iranian government. Our people consider the United States foreign policy to be aimed at undermining and confrontation with itself. And in fact, they want the death of this kind of relationship. No one has the intention of insulting the American nation, and we even consider the United States government as the legitimate and lawful representative of its people. Our objection is to the type of relationship where our nation is humiliated and oppressed. For example, I myself do not agree with the burning of the American flag, which represents its nationhood and which hurts the collective feelings of a nation. As far as I know, the leader of the revolution and other authorities are also not happy with this practice. There might be actions taking place that might not meet with our approval. Yet I am sure that those doing such actions do not intend to insult the American people. And we hope that actions which might be interpreted as against the American people and nation would not take place.